Welcome back and welcome to my first summer vlog of the year. Today is Friday, June 27th, I think, and I thought we could start a vlog today. I just got back from a little trip to Florida on Sunday, and this whole week has just been very crazy, very busy and hectic, just filled with lots of moving and unpacking. I feel like I've been so immersed in just trying to settle in and get all my things organized that I've completely forgotten that it's actually summertime and I'm in a new city with a lot of really fun things to do and fun things to explore. So I thought that I could start a new vlog to kind of hopefully do some fun summery things. I feel like I'm also definitely in the more school mindset as well, where I'm thinking along the lines of having summer break and having that time off, and I really just want to make the most of it. I feel like the weather has also been really nice lately. It's been a little bit hot, but not to the point where you can't go outside and do things, so I'm also very motivated to spend some time outside. I've been reading some good books and I'm just hoping to kind of get back into the routine of things, get out of that moving mode, that frantic moving mode, and just have a fun time this summer. I also wanted to start this vlog today because this morning my mom and I had a very, very fun and magical outing. It was a bit of a challenge for us to get out of the house and just we had to basically force ourselves to leave and plan something, and we ended up having such a fun time. First we went to our favorite coffee shop on the pier, or on the lake, called Mozart's, and it's really, really pretty. They have a really nice view and their matcha is also delicious. And then after that we headed to the botanical garden because in the summertime they have this fairy garden exhibit walk type of thing where you can basically walk around the botanical garden, and there's over 100 just little fairy houses and fairy displays, and it was beautiful. It was magical. I had the best time. I love anything to do with fairy gardens. I always have. So I'll share that with you now. It is now Tuesday, I think, and this morning I actually went to go get my new driver's license, my new Texas driver's license. So I dressed up a little bit just to get like the new picture and whatnot. But anyway, I thought that we could do a little bit of book shopping because I have not been to the Barnes & Noble here yet since moving. I feel like I pretty much go every single time that I visited, but now we're here and I really want to go. There's been a new release that came out, I think, pretty much exactly a week ago that I have been so excited to get. I kind of want to do a little TBR refresh since I did just get rid of a bunch of books, but we'll see what they have. But I thought it would be fun to just spend the afternoon and the evening browsing around Barnes & Noble, looking at all the new releases. I have not been to Barnes & Noble in probably over a month, so I'm very excited. I think it's very overdue. I also finished a book yesterday and I started a different one, which I will talk to you about probably later on in the vlog. But yeah, let's go to Barnes & Noble and just have a really fun and cozy little like bookish afternoon. It's a little gloomy right now too, so it's just the perfect time to book shop. It's a super stormy, rainy day. It was just pouring for a little while, and I think the rain has slowed down a little bit today. In honor of the rain, I wanted today to just be super, super cozy. Tomorrow is my mom's birthday, so today I decided to do a little bit of baking. I'm gonna make her a cake. My family are also pretty big like tennis fans, and right now the Wimbledon tournament is going on, and one of the traditions for Wimbledon is strawberries and cream. A couple years ago, I made a strawberries and cream Wimbledon inspired cake, and it was delicious, and my mom loves strawberries and cream, so that's what we're gonna do today. I will link the recipe down below if you're interested in making it. It's just a strawberries and cream cake. I don't think it should be too difficult, but I also have not made a cake from scratch in a long time. This is also my first time baking in the new kitchen, and I'm just really excited. Baking on a rainy day is probably just like the coziest thing ever. I might also have a little bit of tea later. I think it should be pretty fun. Let's go do some baking. Let's make a strawberries and cream Wimbledon inspired cake. Okay, I thought before we ended off this vlog I could give you a little reading check-in as well as just some other updates because I feel like I have not really talked a whole lot in this vlog. So we'll see how this video comes together, but I hope you enjoy. I did have to kind of move a few things around. I originally wanted to do my room makeover video this week, but I think it's going to take me another week. But I do have some little updates for you. So first, one of the things that I did last weekend was I started painting again. I love acrylic painting and I've kind of been, I guess, in an art slump in that way for a long time and I've really missed it. It's one of my favorite mediums to work with. So last Saturday I just randomly decided to pull out a canvas and some acrylic paints and I basically spent like half the day painting and it was so much fun. So the piece that I was working on I'm still not done with, but I have made a little bit of progress. So this is the current painting that I'm working on. Pretty much this area is done. The swans are done, but I still need to do all of this little, I don't know what you would call this, but like the little kind of algae type things that drape on the trees near lakes. And then I was going to do some more little lily pads here and in the back to kind of balance it out a little bit. But I have made some progress with that and I'm really liking how this is turning out. I've been weirdly into swans recently. I don't know why, but I'm reading a Swan Lake inspired book right now. I've been painting swans and I've just been drawn to everything with a swan on it at the moment, so I'm not sure what that's about, but I just think they're very beautiful, majestic animals that are really, really fun to paint. So this is hopefully the first of many acrylic paintings that I do from now on. I have a lot of ideas. I'm feeling really inspired and I'm excited to just incorporate that art form into my life again because it genuinely just fills my heart so much and I feel so me when I paint. Also yesterday I was working on painting some little like flower pots, just a little DIY for my room. I have a little bit of like a houseplant collection and I like to paint the pots myself, make them custom and make them very whimsical. So I've been working on those yesterday and hopefully those will be done soon this week. And then I have not talked about journaling in this video, which is crazy. I haven't talked about journaling in a little bit and I thought I could give you just a little journal update because I have actually been journaling so much recently. I have been journaling like every day. I've been using this and making a spread and I'm just loving it. One of my mid-year goals was to document more things, so that's just like taking more pictures and then just being more consistent with my journal. I've been doing an entry multiple times a week. I think the last time I did a journal check-in, it might have been in my spring vlog, and I think the last spread then I had made was maybe my June vision board, or I think I made this in my last vlog, the June vision board. Since then, obviously it's now July, I've been doing a lot of just like standard diary style journal pages. I also did make my mid-year goals. I've been thinking a lot about my goals for the mid-year. On one side, I did just like my thoughts, kind of just writing about what I wanted my goals to represent, kind of what I've been feeling recently, what I want to focus on. And then as for my goals, I guess I can just quickly read them out. I have make people feel more seen, so that's just like greeting everybody, smiling, being polite, eye contact, showing appreciation, that sort of thing. I want to continue with my French study. I'll be taking a class next semester for that and I'm really excited. I want to surround myself with more art, so listen to music more intentionally, read more different kinds of stories, go to art museums. I also want to create in different ways and be creative in different ways, which I have been doing a lot with designing my room, painting, journaling, that sort of thing. I want to document more, take more photos, journal more often. I want to stretch every day. That one I have not been good about. I was very consistent with that in May and then I just, ever since we moved, I just have not prioritized that, to be honest. I also just want to do more movement in general. I feel like there's a lot of fun ways to be active here, like a lot of like water sport type things and hiking and walking, and I want to explore Austin that way. I think that would be really fun. I want to practice my crosswords more, be strict about routines. That's probably the one I've been doing the worst with, which is my routines. And then also just like my sleep schedule has been terrible. We won't talk about it. I want to have a little bit more of a minimalistic approach to things. I'm not a minimalist in any way, but you know, as I've been like unpacking and organizing all of my things, obviously I think I've kind of realized that I have a lot of stuff. And what I do like about minimalism, because I am somebody who I like my things, I like pretty things, I like nostalgic things, I'm very sentimental, but what I like about minimalism is kind of the thoughtfulness behind it and the intention behind it, and also just the gratitude piece. I feel like that's something that I've always tried to prioritize, but it's really been resonating with me a lot more recently, and I think a big part is the book that I'm currently reading, one of them, which we'll talk about in a second. I love the idea of being intentional about what I have, being intentional about what I buy, and at least just that mentality and that mindset is what I would like to focus on more for the second half of the year, especially with, I think, something like moving. It's, I don't know, one of those moments in life that you kind of feel this urge to just get more, to buy more, and I want to try my best to kind of counter that. I want to continue using my library. Actually, I need to go get my new library card. I think I'll do that next week, and I'm really excited about that. I want to build my houseplant collection, and then the last goal that I had was check in with my friends one time a week, because all my friends are long distance now, which is so sad. So those are my mid-year goals. I also was kind of brainstorming basically just like my ideal, my perfect summer morning and night routine. And then I've been working on a little spread for my trip to Florida. Oh, and then I have my summer vision board. I made this a couple days ago, and then I posted it on Instagram yesterday, and I love how it turned out. This is my favorite vision board I've made in a long time, or just maybe one of my favorite vision boards ever. I feel like it's just very like messy and kind of colorful looking, but I love it. It makes me so happy every time I see it. So for summer, I know we're kind of like, you know, well into summer now, but I'm thinking more like before I start school, which is at the very end of August. So I really have like 2 months left of summer, which is a lot of time to do some fun things. And a lot of these are just like cozy bookish, being outside. I have a lot of artsy things on here too, like crafting. I have cozy coloring, there's painting and crocheting somewhere on here as well. I also have a lot of like outdoor things, so going on bike rides, going kayaking, going hiking. That's kind of what I want my summer to be, just like fun little things. And I just love how this spread turned out. I'm very, very happy about that. I love making vision boards, and making them at the beginning of a season is really fun. I also have my June little highlights page, which June was, I think, one of the best months of the year so far for me, maybe the best month. As I was going through my camera roll and just kind of, you know, reflecting on the month, I realized that so many wonderful things happened in June, and I left the month with a very full heart and a lot of, you know, appreciation. I feel like I got to experience a lot of really nice things in June, and I'm just feeling very, very happy about that going into July. And then I've just been doing more like little journal spreads every day. I am still trying to figure out how to get my printer to work. I went to the print shop the other day, and I actually, like, these pictures are from the Office Depot printer, and the quality is so nice. They're also like bright and crisp, so that's really nice. But I do have a very nice printer. I just need to figure out how to connect it, and so I can start using that again as well in my journal. And then the next spread that I will be making is my summer bucket list, which I'm very excited about, just like the more verbal version of this basically. But I think I have already completed a couple things on my summer bucket list. I just need to make a spread for it. So that's my little journal update. And then finally, as for a little reading update, I think I want to do a video maybe in like a couple weeks, maybe a month, of kind of just like a general reading wrap up, basically just books I've read recently, because I never did one for June. I did my mid-year book tag. I read 4 books in June, and 3 of them I did talk about a lot in videos. One of them I really loved, and I haven't talked about it at all yet, so I kind of want to save that for maybe that little like random reading wrap up that I'll do at some point. But I wanted to talk about the books that I am actually currently reading. Well, the last book that I finished was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which I absolutely loved. That book has been everywhere recently, and I'm really excited about that because it was such a good book, and I feel like a lot of people would like it, so I would highly recommend that book. I talked about in my mid-year tag though how my main takeaway from reading Bury Our Bones was that now all I want to read is gothic and vampire books. So I've kind of been refreshing my TBR, and then when I went to Barnes & Noble the other day, I feel like all the books that I were picking up were like either vampire books or just like dark academia, because I guess that's just the mood that I'm in right now. Even though it is the middle of summer, that's just kind of what I'm feeling, especially with the rain. Like, reading a gothic book on a rainy day, it's just one of the best things. Anyway, I'm currently reading 3 different books, which is kind of a lot, but one of them is nonfiction, and that's my audiobook. One of them is a gothic classic, and the other one is YA fantasy, so I feel like 3 very different books. I don't know, it doesn't get too confusing in my brain that way. As for the audiobook that I'm listening to, like I said, I've been doing a lot of artsy crafty things, and I wanted an audiobook to start, so I was kind of just browsing my library, and I started listening to Braiding Sweetgrass, I think by Robin Kemmerer, I believe, which is a very beloved book. I feel like I've seen this book for a long time, people just loving it and highly recommending it. It's a bit of a a combination, I would say, between like a memoir, a nature book, like a science botany book, and a bit of like a cultural, almost like folk tale book in a way. Our author, Robin Kemmerer, she is a botanist and an ecologist, but she is also an Indigenous woman, and so the book is kind of a combination of her life experiences mixed with the kind of traditions and mythology and kind of lessons that she's learned as an Indigenous person, also mixed with her like scientific side and her botany and ecology, and it's really fascinating. I think the book really is about gratitude, it's about appreciation, it's about kind of healing that relationship between humans and the earth, and it's a really beautiful approach from a perspective that I've never really thought of before. And like I said, I've really been thinking a lot more about like gratitude recently, and also like I didn't include it in my mid-year goals because I made a whole little spread for it in my journal. Also been thinking a lot about just like sustainability things, and I really love to read that kind of outlook on it, an outlook of love and reciprocity and gratitude. It's very refreshing to read, so I'm absolutely loving my listen of that so far. I feel like I've been learning a lot, and I also just love biology and love learning about plants, to be honest. I think it's absolutely fascinating, so I've really been enjoying listening to that. And I also just have been really loving the format of listening to a nonfiction. I have not read nonfiction in a long time, and I think sometimes that's because when I read it like with my eyes or physically, it kind of feels a little bit more textbook-like, but something about people like telling you almost like a story, telling you facts, I find really, really nice, and I really enjoy that format. So I think my next couple audiobooks will be some more nonfiction that I've been meaning to get to. And then as for what I'm reading physically, I started reading The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is a Gothic classic. I'm 50 pages in, so not very far, but this book I just feel like is not hard to understand by any means. It's very easy on the modern mind, given that this was written so long ago. It's not hard to understand in that way. It's more so just the content, specifically like our main character Harry, the way that he talks, and some of the conversations are just a little much sometimes, and it's not what I'm always in the mood for, but I'm really, really enjoying this one. I kind of already knew that I would. I love Oscar Wilde's writing. I love the kind of random philosophy that's woven through. Like if you're somebody who really loves like deep and not so deep sometimes, just like philosophical talks and conversations, that's what this book is just full of. And I'm curious to see what the general plot is. It seems like right now we're just following our main character Harry as he's kind of developing a bit of a friendship with Dorian Gray, the, you know, namesake of the book, and I'm excited to see where the story goes from here, but I am really enjoying this so far. And then yesterday night, since I wanted something that wasn't a classic and wasn't nonfiction to read, I did start reading A Treachery of Swans. I couldn't help myself. I've just been so excited to read this. This is a YA fantasy, Gothic YA fantasy, Swan Lake retelling, Phantom of the Opera inspired. It's also set in mid 18th century France, which is such a fun setting. So honestly, everything about this story feels like it should be perfect for me. And so far, I'm loving the story. I feel like it's going to be very decadent and just very rich in the atmosphere. The way that A.B. Poorneck describes things, it's going to be very, very magical. I will say I'm not loving the narration so far in the story. What's interesting is that in Where the Dark Stands Still, A.B. Poorneck's other book, it's told in third person, and I feel like that works really well. It makes the story feel very sophisticated, but also fairy tale-like and beautiful. And this one is actually told in first person, and I didn't realize that I was somebody who actually cared that much about that, but I don't know. I just think sometimes first person is a little bit harder to do. When I read first person, sometimes I just associate that with like those very like cheesy YA stories in a way. This is feeling like that just a little bit so far, just in like the narration style being first person, which I know that was like an intentional choice to get the characters across a certain way, so it's not a big deal. I'll get used to it probably, but it just was a little bit jarring to read. So I'm still getting used to that, but I'm loving the story. It kind of sets up the story very quickly, following around our main character Odile, who is basically tasked with seducing the princess so that she can steal this king's golden crown and restore magic back to the land. So very fairy tale-like premise, and I'm enjoying it. So those are the 3 books that I'm reading so far, my little check-in, also a little journaling and painting update. Anyway, that I think is pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Hopefully my room transformation video.